order, and if we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag of the United States of America,
to the
and
republic,
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
with liberty,
indivisible,
justice
with
for
liberty
all.
and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item up is the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Anybody see any errors, changes? Can I have if there's no objections, then they will stand approved as presented.
So moved.
I'm doing it without objection. Thank you. Next up is a chairman's comments. Just a couple of brief ones. Number one, as you, I think we know by now, the referendum yesterday passed. Both of the items passed by about a 70-30 margin. That's the good news. The less good news, in my opinion, is that we had less than 9% turnout. That ain't good. Some people would say, and I would appreciate it, that it means that most of the town likes what we're doing and sees no reason to object to anything. And that's probably true. There are no big drum beats that I was aware of, but still, you'd like to see in a democracy something a little bit better than 8.9% turnout. Yeah, one other comment I have is that later on, when we get to after special appropriations, I guess, I'm going to raise the idea of moving some money into the pension funds. We've talked about this very briefly in the past, and I think it's a good place to put some of the pretty good cash flow that we have that would boost our pension funds, of course, and it would be a good way of paying back our excess funds to the people of Madison, because it would reduce, if we get it in to the funds before June 30th, it would reduce what the actuaries say we have to put in the upcoming annual budgets. So just get your brain cells working on that. I'll be talking about that a little bit later. Any other finance member comments? Justin, John?
Sir.
Okay, any citizens? Lauren, do we have any citizens who need to say anything?
No one has their hand raised.
Okay, do we have any citizens in the meeting?
It's mostly staff.
Oh, okay, that's good. All right, no comments there. Then we'll move on to the new business. Item 5, discuss and take action to set the mill rate for the 21-22 fiscal year. And we have Stacy sent me a note. I don't know if it went to everybody, that we are required by state law to have some words in there. And one of them says the Board of Finance voted to include state revenue in the amount of $413,125 in the mill rate calculation. Frankly, if I were the state, I'd be embarrassed to have that number out there, that out of close to $90 million, we get 413 grand. But that's the state law. Stacy, do you have any numbers we can talk about in terms of?
I do. I'm going to pull up the mill rate calculation if you'd like,
Sure.
and I can show you what numbers are in there. And just to comment on the 413, Fillmore, that's the amount of money that we actually rely on. We have been getting more year after year, but after that debacle with the state one year, we tried to wean ourselves off of relying on them. So we do get a little bit more than that, but that is what is included in the mill rate calculation.
Good. And that also, as I recall, doesn't that show up somewhere in the tax bills that people send out? Or
Yep.
yeah.
That's another motion on your sheet. It's down towards the, I think it's
Oh,
the
yeah,
last one,
I see that.
actually.
You're right. Okay,
Okay, so this is a mill rate calculation. These two gray columns, I'm just gonna shut off my video because I'm not facing you guys. These two gray columns are last year. This is where we ended up at a 28.35 mil. These two columns are this year's budget. So I threw in numbers based on conversations, and we can change them, and we can certainly work with what you want to work with. So this right here, this total 88,404,866 is our total expenditures. So that number we cannot touch. The other number, or the first number, is the fund balance used. That's a number that I threw in there. That's to be discussed today. Down here, these are all expenditures up here. Here's the revenue. This 3 million included in that revenue is one of your motions for the 413. The other thing we're going to discuss is a tax, or a motion for the tax collection rate. So what I did to start the conversation was threw in last year's fund balance, what we used. Not sure if you want to go up, go down, whatever, stay the same. I put in the interest revenue, the grant revenue, and other revenue. And I used a tax collection rate, which has been consistent over the last few years of 98.75. By doing that, the mill rate comes down to a 28.88, 0.53 mils, and a 1.87% increase in taxes.
okay, thank you. That sort of jives with what I recollect from our earlier discussions. Justin, John, any comments?
Yeah, I think the tax collection rate works. I don't remember, Stacy, exactly how much we talked about with the entire board about the undesignated fund balance. I know it's at least that number. I don't think it looks bad. I don't know if Justin or Fillmore could recollect exactly what we talked about using, or Stacy, if you know that. I think we had multiple discussions. I think we kind of all agreed on the number. Just not sure what it was.
Yeah, I would just add, I think it looks fine. And I kind of agree with Fillmore's observation of the turnout. As unfortunate as it was, I think it is kind of, in a way, an approval of the budget, essentially. But I guess I just maybe throw in there, I don't want to use the undesignated fund balance, frivolously, but there is a lot of money coming from the federal government and the rescue plan that's obviously yet to be determined what it's going to be used for. But I think it's fair to say, hopefully most of it gets used towards capital programs or capital projects that we already know about. So it might help relieve some of the town's burden on some of these projects coming up, in the next few years. So maybe there's a little room to just round up the contribution this year to bring taxes down a little bit lower. So I don't know if everyone's willing to look at it. Stacy, just to pick a number, what if we rounded to 750? What would that do to the mill rate?
So we were at 28.88. That would bring us down to less than 1.5% increase.
Yeah, I said 750, but you put in $1 million, but that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Whoops.
I had it in my head. I don't know why.
That's
a
all right,
round
Steve,
number.
don't worry.
Justin, I'm sorry. So that's exactly $500,000.
So I'm fine anywhere in that range. I think our goal was, not speaking for everyone, but certainly to try to keep it comfortably below 2% if we could.
Yeah.
And so that's my only added thought since we met last, was that now we know there's $5+ million that may show up over the for use over the next few years. So maybe that gives us a little bit of cushion.
My just Fillmore, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. The undesignated fund balance is the last thing we're going to use. Like you said, if you get other grant money or you save money someplace else, obviously, so that that number may not exactly be 673 or 750. We'll know at the end of fiscal, this year, what we used last year. So I don't have an issue with that. I think Phil Moore and Justin, you're both right. The fact that we had less than 9% turnout, you'd like to see a lot more people, but normally you get a lot more people when they're upset. So I think people, for the most part, I mean, I'm sure some people forgot to vote yesterday. It's a Tuesday in May. I get that. But I think for the most part, people are kind of like, okay. So.
Well, I think one of the things that may have contributed is that, I didn't catch this until a few days ago, is that, was it 2 weeks ago, the source said that the voting was going to take place Wednesday, the 19th. So there could be people showing up at the voting booth today saying, where can I vote?
Yeah, and as I said, there's probably some confusion. There's probably some people who forgot, but I don't think it was 25, 30, 40%. Let's not kid ourselves. 1% maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but Ken Kaminsky, I might be in the waiting room or he might.
That's punishment for him, Justin. Don't worry.
He's in the penalty box.
He's in exactly.
Okay, I think our discussion is should we use what was it, 673? Hey, Ken, welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I was in the waiting room for a while.
You're in the penalty box.
I heard that, Picard. And by the way, I think there's at least 10% of the people that were confused. So this whole 1,800 of a total vote is a joke for the budget. Just my comments. It's ridiculous.
Good to have you
We're gonna
back.
vote on a budget with these, what is it, 0.5% of the vote? So there you go. That's my 2 cents. You could do what you want with it.
All right. Okay,
And we
so
want to put you back in the box,
That's all right. I'm used to being there, brother. You know that. Go
okay,
ahead.
so
Go ahead.
so we're talking about, I believe, whether to keep the input from the fund balance at what was it, 673,
673.
same as last year, to raise it to 750, which would make a 0.03 of a point difference in the mill rate, but it would lower the percent change from.
Stacy, what's the highest we've ever taken out of that in the past?
I want to say we may have been at 750. I mean, I can open that up.
No, it's all right. I just want to be careful. I understand the rationale for it. My concern is you are now putting the town in a hole next year, even more so. And that's my concern. So I'm willing to support whatever the board wants, but I have concerns about using more. I mean, I think 673 was the highest. So now we're going way above that, which means you're going to possibly in the future get into having to overtax people in order to offset the budget. So, that's my concern. And going forward, that a lot of that money comes out of the the revenues from the state. I'm sure that's going to start dropping off. So we need to consider that when we're saying we're going to put more than the 673 in.
Or maybe the town can spend less.
Thank you, Jane. Ken, did you say something, Ken?
Yeah, just maybe the town could spend less on the budget. That's all. That's a way to offset the gap.
Okay, I think we're within a small range of each other, but some good points have been made. So I'm going to ask for a straw poll of hand raises of the 673 versus the 750. So we can move forward on this. And again, as I say, it's not going to be a game changer or a catastrophe either way. So who would support using the 750 number?
I'll support either one. So
Okay, Ken is raising his hand. And Justin, is you raising your hand? That's
I am
two.
too.
Okay, who would support the 673? I'll do that. And I assume that Jean, even though we can't see her, would do the same thing. So we're in a tie vote, and John Picard.
I will support either one. I'll make the motion. I can.
All right.
Well, Fillmore, like you said, it's not that much. So why don't we just
Right.
go for it this year and try to reduce the tax?
Make the motion, include
Gene,
750.
I don't disagree at all. Either number's fine. I don't recall the numbers offhand, but when we've had this discussion before, I did go back and look at it. I apologize if Stacy pulled it up, but 673 is definitely not the highest number. There
It
was,
was well over 1 million.
and I think there was even a couple of years when it was higher than that. Within the last, 10 years, I guess. So there are other, years where it's been a little bit higher.
History of fund balance.
All right. We seem to be doing a lot of mutual waffling around here.
So if I can, the
It sounds like
highest,
the majority, it sounds like the majority of people are willing to do either one. So let's go for the higher one this year.
Yeah.
Knowing that we'll be more conservative next year.
Okay.
and the
Stacy,
highest, just so you guys know, from 2010 on, the highest was 750 in 2016.
Perfect. All right. So Fillmore, take the vote.
Okay, so I believe we seem to be consolidating around the 750 number.
Why don't we just make the motion to approve it with the 750 with the mill rate that it corresponds? And then-
Okay, John made the motion.
Done.
Will some,
Second.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Ben.
Justin seconded it. So the motion on the floor is to use the 750 from the fund balance and set the mill rate at
28.85.
28.85. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, we have another motion is to set the tax collection rate. Well, I guess what we've already done is implied that we accept the 98.75. Yeah. Okay, so I
We can
think
make,
that motion was implied when we set the mill rate because we incorporated that. So Stacy, I believe the only thing we'd have to do now is to vote on this official state one. I'll read it: in compliance with the state law requiring that the tax bills indicate the number of mills the anticipated state revenue would equate to this year, the bills would show. And what's that number going to be?
2899.
Okay, whoopee, the state got us from 28.99 to 28.80 or whatever it was. 0.2 of a mil. Wonderful. Okay, did somebody make that motion?
I don't even know what that would be making the motion of.
Thank you, Ken, for making the motion. No, okay, Ken, this is it's a state requirement that
Yeah, no, I know, but what were the numbers?
that without the state, it would be 28.89, and with the state, and so that's
The 28.99 with
Without
the
the
state, and the
state.
28.35 with the state.
2885 with the state, 2899 without the state.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
second.
okay. We have a motion and a second by Justin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Fillmore, would you mind, just because every year we have these other motions, and can
Yeah.
we just take the other motions just so we have them for the record?
Sure. Okay, let's see, we did the first one about the 413.
I don't think we did a motion
No,
on
we,
it though.
we did not do a motion on
Did
it.
not do a motion. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll ask for a motion that we include a state revenue of 413,125 in the mill rate calculations.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next one is to allocate, we did do this 750 for the fund balance. We did do that one.
You did that in combo with the mill rate, so,
You want a separate one,
Okay.
Stacy, for the tax collection rate?
yes,
Yeah.
please, thank you,
All
John.
right, absolutely. I'll make the
Sorry,
motion.
Fillmore.
I'm sorry, Fillmore. I'll
Okay,
be
that's all right.
quiet.
Okay, the next one in line then is the Board of Finance votes to allocate $750,000 of the prior year's fund balance to reduce the amount to be raised by taxes.
We did that one already. I just want to do the mill rate at
Go ahead.
98.75.
Yeah,
I mean,
throw it out.
Stacy says, Stacy said we jumble that together, so I'm going down the list that she has presented to me.
Okay,
So John, you made that motion.
so moved.
Or I'll second it.
Ken seconds it. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, the next one on the list is about setting the mill, is about how to use, how much of the tax collection. So we need to have a motion that the Board of Finance will set the mill rate using a tax collection rate of 98.75.
So moved.
Second.
John moved, Ken seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next one, the Board of Finance will set the mill rate for 21-22 at 28.85.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. And then the last one is the board in compliance with the state law requiring the tax bills indicate the number of mills the anticipated state revenue would equate to. This year, the bills would show 28.99. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I think that's it. Stacy, is that everything? Is that,
Yes, that is everything. Thank you.
okay, sorry about confusing you got to dot those Ts and cross those Is.
Kind of something like that.
Yeah, close.
He's on the roll, Ken. Let him go.
Okay, the next item, that was a joke, by the way.
Same here, Fillmore.
That was a good one.
The next item 6, discuss and take action to approve the transfer of property taxes to suspense based on a recommendation from the tax collector. And is Colleen available?
Colleen is here. I think she has to be let in.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Colleen. Colleen, we have your, I'm looking at your list that you want to move a total of $52,948.87 from the 2017 tax list over to the suspense file. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I did notice, okay, can I have a motion to make that move, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, then under discussion, Colleen, I do look on that backup page and you have collected a little over 3,000 of that already. Is that,
That's correct for this year.
but you still have to move the whole amount over into the suspense file.
The remaining amount, yes. So for the for the current suspense, I have collected over $3,000 this year. The amount that I am asking to transfer into suspense would be the 2017 grand list, and
Yeah.
that would be the 52,948. So of the taxes that are currently in suspense this year, we have collected $3,130.
Okay, so we're only really owed another 49,000 or something.
No, I'm sorry. So what's collected in suspense is for the 2016 and prior.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, fine. Thank you for clarifying that for me. I misunderstood your backup sheet. Okay, we have a motion and a second. And by the way, this does not mean that we quit going after the taxes. It just means that they come off an active roll of some sort.
That's
Colleen-
correct, yes.
Colleen will still be after them tooth and nail. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up is item 7, discuss and take action to approve routine line item transfers totaling $457,021. of which most of it has already been approved by the Board of Selectmen, and another, and 79 grand still needs their approval. I think that as I look at the detail, the amount that the selectmen have approved are the human resources amounts, which is most of it, and that's really taking things out of the reserve fund, I call it a reserve fund that human resources had, and then allocating them according to various raises that people have gotten. And then the remaining, which the Board of Selectmen has not approved, are all the little nickel and dimes moving around in all the different departments. So can I have a motion to approve line item transfers of 457,021?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Next item is item 8, discuss and take action to approve the following special appropriations request as recommended by the Board of Selectmen. This action will satisfy all requirements for a town meeting under State of Connecticut Executive Order 7 Sierra.
We do these all at once, or do we have to do them individually? That's a question.
I want to suggest that I will, good question, John. What I will do is I will ask if there are no objections, then we'll take them all together. But if somebody has a question about any particular one, then we'll pull that out. First, I want to ask Lauren or somebody, is the Connecticut Executive Order, this is the one that says town meetings are suspended because of COVID.
Yes,
And when does that expire?
it was actually just extended through July 20th.
Super. Okay, so July 20th. That's good. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, is there any one of these in particular that anyone would like to pull out? Okay, hearing none, we'll consider them all together. Before we do that, I think it might be worth taking a look, because all of these will, I believe, come out of the fund balance. It might be worth taking a look at our fund balance projection. Stacy, you were kind enough to send it to me. Do you have that so that, or have other people seen it? Yeah, okay.
And maybe you want the total amount, Fillmore, you could just say divide it into the various categories when the motion's made.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have that total amount.
I'm sure
Yeah.
Stacy can put her fingers on it.
Yeah.
Or if not, we can add them up.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm sorry, the total amount that we're doing right now from the 60 down to the
The
41
correct.
is 453.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
453,000. Yeah.
Yeah, the items we're talking about right now are already included in this fund
Yes.
balance projection.
Right.
I just put them pending on here, assuming.
Yeah, thank you. That clarifies it very good. So that, according to your projections, and you have also put in some estimates for what's happening this year of increased revenue, half a dozen items there, and then the underspending from both the town and the schools. So that you are projecting about a $2 million surplus for the current year. So fund balance is still quite healthy, even with this series of $453,000 on the various ones. As I recall, all of these special appropriations were discussed during the budget cycle or during our budget discussions, and we pulled them out of the budget because we thought these were sort of one-timers, and it'd be better served coming from the fund balance rather than boosting up the budget. So with those comments on my part, can I have a motion? And I believe nobody wanted to indicate that they wanted to pull anything out, so we'll consider them all as one. Can I have a motion to approve special appropriations 1 through 8
An amount of $453,000.
in an amount of 453,000 approximately to come from the fund balance?
So
Okay,
moved.
John is moving that. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Justin. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, I heard a rumble from Gene. I interpreted that as an aye. Okay, in that case.
An aye, it is an aye.
Thank you. In that case, the motion carries. Thank you very much. And as I mentioned in my opening comments, I would like to raise the question of giving a boost to our pension funds. We've talked very briefly about this in the past, that given we have healthy balances in a lot of places, I think that if we put money into the pension funds, it does 2 or 3 different good things. Number one, it will, if we get it into the pension funds before June 30th, so that it shows up in the official year-end statements, then when the actuaries make their calculations and we're sitting around the table next winter with wrestling with next year's budget, the required minimum distributions for the pensions will be lower. So we will in effect be reducing people's taxes if we move money into the pension funds now. Number two, if money is in the pension fund, then it's going to be growing at 5 or 6%, or whatever the pension committee can get, rather than the almost zero that we're getting out of our investments now.
Is that 5 or 6% confirmed?
No, it's impossible.
No, it's not. It's not guaranteed, but they have been getting that. I think the target is up around 6.5 or something like that. But they have been getting what their target is. And I had to, just by coincidence, this morning was the pension committee meetings, which I'm the liaison to, and I was able to sit in on the first 15 or so minutes of that before I came over here. And things were on track, and most of the funds for all 3 of the pension funds are in various kinds of fixed income. They're not out buying pork bellies. It didn't seem like. So reasonably safe. But the main reason I'm sort of pushing this is a constructive way of giving back to the taxpayers, because it reduces from now on the amount of taxes that have to be raised on the required minimum distributions each year in the taxes. So
This will be coming out of the undesignated fund balance?
well, I want to ask Stacy to jump in on that one. Yeah, it could either come out of the fund balance, or she came up with another place it could come from. Stacy, you want to chime in?
Sure. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to share the health insurance fund, just so you can see where we are on that, because we do have a healthy fund balance there as well. And this is, Fillmore, if you recall, we did use this fund to fund the pension in the past.
Yes.
So this is where we are. Sorry, it's only through December, and I know claims have gone up a little bit since, but we did end the prior fiscal year with $3.5 million over and above our goal of having 25% over our expected claims in there. So this fund right now is very healthy as well. I know the health insurance can fluctuate and all of a sudden we can see things go the opposite way, but right now the funds have been building up over the last couple of years. So this would also be an option. If we did take money out of here, I would recommend that we also talk to the Board of Ed because it is a shared self-insurance fund that we both
Yeah,
fund,
and
both sides fund
and
it.
Yeah, and the insurance agents as well, just to make sure that they, what trend is looking like and if there's.
We're
gonna
in
be any-
contact with our consultants all the time, Ken. Yeah,
I
definitely.
know that, but again, if that's going to be coming out of that balance, right? We want to just make sure that they are projecting future claims and that there's no potential issues, associated with that. Just another checkpoint, right? If you're going to move money out of this.
Oh, yeah, we definitely would not do that without consulting them. Yep.
Okay, good points, Ken. So if we voted to move X dollars out of the health reserve, it would have to go to the Board of Selectmen, I assume, also, and the Board of Ed, you're saying? So both boards?
Yes, I do believe it should. We can look at what we did last time, Fillmore, but definitely a discussion at least with the Board of Ed at their level. But yes, a Board of Selectmen and normally a town meeting if we're not in the executive order.
Okay,
Stacy, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, John.
I just had a couple questions and I'll chime in, but what percentage of our pension are we funded at? If you showed me, or
I knew someone was going to ask me that. It's gone down a little bit. Fillmore, do you know since you were on the meeting this morning?
No, they hadn't gotten that
Okay.
part yet. John, I think that at one point a couple of years ago, we were up around the 80% level, and then if memory serves, because they changed the
actuarial,
the life expectancy went
Right.
down to around 70 or something, which is still good, but it would be nicer to have it higher up.
My only thought is because we've kind of taken some additional cash out of the undesignated fund balance and we don't know what next year is really going to look like. I don't know if this is the year to be doing that. That's just my thought initially.
Yeah. So just a couple of thoughts and then, I have mixed feelings about this. I understand that the pension fund is probably, around 75, 78%. Fillmore, you mentioned 5 or 6%. Market had a very good year this year. On average, if you go long term, very comfortable with 6.5%, 7%. It's the year-to-year fluctuations.
Yeah.
And what happened if next year they don't do well? We're going to be, you have to contribute more money. Once you put the money in the pension fund, obviously it can't come out. So it's the loss of flexibility also. And if you tweak that actuarial number, if they're using 6%, use it to 6.5%, you're going to be fully funded and not need. So those are just some thoughts. And I understand that. Where I agree with this, if you're going to put money in anyways, and we do it before June 30th, we won't have to put it in out of our operating budget or however you're funding that. So there are some pros and cons to doing this. I think we just need to talk it through. That's all.
I did find the funding as of June 30th, 2020. We're only at 66% for the town, 68% for the police, and 76.8% for the fire.
All right. And I would argue probably this year should be good. Those numbers will probably go up, but still low. Okay. I mean, healthy compared to a lot of other places, but still low compared to 100% funding.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Justin, do you have I'm gonna say that it sounds to me like Ken, would not be in favor of putting money in. John, you're on the fence.
I just want to talk it through, but if you're going to put the money in, I think doing it before June 30th makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I want to
just,
take in the health fund either, though.
Yeah.
Because we have a better chance of maybe things have been good so far, but it's been a tough year.
I just worry about the health. I just worry about the health fund as John does. And because we're taking $750 out of the undesignated fund, I just don't know if this is the year to do it. I agree with the idea of funding additional money into the pension funds. I agree with that, Fillmore, in general. I just don't know if this is the year to do it. That's my own opinion.
Okay.
I
Fair enough.
agree with John. If we're going to do it before the 30th.
Yeah,
Agreed.
okay. Justin, do you have comment?
I apologize if I missed the amount, but I guess despite being the proponent of the 750, use, I am a little leery. I just, it's a good idea, but there's still so many things in front of us that the fund balance could go towards that are still unknowns. I mean, frankly, they're white elephants like Academy and the new school referendum, which could certainly use up all of the excess balance if we wanted it to. So maybe,
Yeah, but we have 17 million. We can't be sitting on too much money. It's a right to go back to the taxpayers.
I agreed.
Well, then we can, it depends on what you want to put it towards, right?
I think
Yeah.
if you're gonna use the fund balance, you want to use it at one-time expenses or as much as one time. You don't want to.
Right.
If you all, since this is not on the agenda, what I can do is I can ask the actuaries to run some numbers to see what it would look like for our next year's budget. And to see if you all, that may help you guys make the decision if it's worth it or not.
Okay.
That would be helpful, Stacy. If you can tell us what interest rate they're using in the study, that would help also.
All right, I'm sensing no great urge to follow along this. I'm hearing some back and forth. So it is a major decision. I'm going to suggest that we, even though we've talked about it sort of off to the side for 2 or 3 months, let's put it on the agenda for next month. Get some hard numbers so we can make a decision, so that if we decide we want to do it, we can get it done by June 30th.
Agree with that.
But my only concern is when is the June meeting? Would there be a Board of Selectmen and a Board of Ed meeting after that?
Well, the June's meeting is the 16th of June, so this almost has to be, right?
Yeah, we can make it work, and we could always,
And that's only if you take it out of the health fund, right? You need a Board of
Health.
Ed, correct?
Either the health fund or the fund balance, whichever one it comes from, it's gonna, in addition to us, it's gonna have to come from the Board of Selectmen. If it comes
Right,
from
but
the
not
health
also the
fund,
Board of Ed, correct?
Board of
I'm
Ed is
asking.
only if it comes from the health fund.
Thank you.
If it comes out of the fund balance, then it's just us and the selectmen.
Okay, thanks.
yeah, the Board of Selectmen meet on June 28th.
Okay, so you could get it done by,
Well,
Plenty of time, Fillmore.
yeah,
let me talk to the actuaries. Let me see what they can run so I can get you guys some info in advance. And then see when we would have to make this final decision and what the steps would be in order for them to have the money in the fund before they develop the following year's actuarial report. So I'll
Okay.
get more info on this and I'll forward it to you and definitely get it on the agenda for the 16th.
okay,
Thanks, Stace.
thank you. And thank you, everybody, for considering my little pet project here. Okay, moving along, I believe we're now down to reviewing the financials. Thank you, Lauren, for sending those things around. I have one comment as I look at the tax office report. It looks like we're already past our 98.75% mark for the year. That's with 2 months left to go, so we're still in good shape on our tax collection. I know that's had me just a tad worried this past year, but looks like we're in good shape on that. Any other comments on the financials? No,
None.
none. Okay, wow. Hearing none. Okay, moving along to liaison reports. Anybody? I've already mentioned that I had about a 15-minute meeting with the pension board this morning. The library board also met a couple of evenings ago, and everything's on track with them. They're open. They have a couple of fundraisers going on. The book sale is back in order for, I think, next weekend. And they have something called Scranton Shops. You can buy a ticket and go inside and get some free goodies, and somebody in your family can buy all sorts of nifty things. So check their website. Anybody else have any liaisons?
I was at the police commission meeting or virtually. I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary, so I'm good.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll just, if I could quickly mention, as I'm sure you all know, it's EMS week this week. I'm the liaison to the ambulance, and I know that's been recognized by the town. And I'd also mention the senior center. The senior center does the bus service for seniors going to shopping and also to medical appointments. So I'll just mention that a private organization, Madison Community Services, that you may be familiar with, they used to do medical appointment rides as well, but they are no longer providing that service. The senior center doesn't think they have many crossover clients, but ultimately that might result in increased demand of the senior center, transportation service going forward. So just kind of letting people know that. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. No other liaison reports? Peggy, are you on? You're up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For some reason, my camera. First of all, just want to say congratulations on getting a budget and a mill rate set today. I know it's been a long process for everybody, and I'm always grateful for everybody's hard work on this. And thank you to those in the public who actually came out to vote. That small minority, but grateful to be moving forward. Not too much to report. I did want to just make one comment that I'm going to be looking at some other possible fund balance uses. And one in particular that we'll probably talk about at the Board of Selectmen meeting is on road paving. And so I'll pull something together. I'm not quite sure what the numbers would look like, but we just had a new update to our pavement study that was done. We have a couple of roads that are literally falling apart. So we've had to push back some of our paving plans in order to tackle some roads that are deteriorating. And so one thought I had was to infuse some additional funds into the road paving account to beef that up so we can keep on time with some of our road paving schedules. So anyways, that's a thought I'm working on here. And we'll be talking about the paving study at the Board of Selectmen meeting. So that's another thing to put your thinking caps on about. In terms of the American Rescue Plan, we've still gotten some, we're waiting for additional guidance. We've had some webinars that are being set up by CCM. I had one yesterday with Scrog about different ways to use the funds. And it is going to have to be some things that really you can tie to the COVID emergency situation. So the benefit of the fund balance is we have a lot of flexibility with how we choose to use that money. And the American Rescue Plan funds are really going to have to, we're going to have to be creative about how we think about that money and how we can tie it to recovery, whether it's economic recovery or health benefits to the community because of COVID. So that's still a work in progress. But noted your discussion on pensions, you cannot use any of those funds, obviously, to short pension accounts. So, whereas you can use, obviously, the fund balance to do so. So that will be, we'll be having a lot more dialogue about this in June. We're putting right now information gathering, starting to organize planning documents, and then there'll be more of a public discussion on all of that starting this summer. And that is it from my end. Any questions?
No.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Peggy. Do we have any citizen comments?
There are none.
No, okay. All right, thank you. If there are no other comments, then I believe we have completed our agenda for today.
Motion to adjourn.
No objections. I will declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very